Related to how long you should train is how often should you train. This depends a lot on your dog and of course on your own personal schedule. If you can make time for your dog to train 3 or maybe 4 days a week, your dog's going to progress very quickly. If you can only train a couple days a week, your dog's going to progress, but he's going to lose some of what you taught him in the downtime in between training. It's important that the dog is crated or kenneled before and after training so that he gains a little bit of value from that training. In other words, if he's bored before training, he's going to have a much better attitude while he's at training. If you take him away from playing with the cat, chasing the kids around the yard, to go out and put a collar and a leash on and do heel sit drills, he's not going to be real enthusiastic about it. Kenneling or crating the dog after training is important because it gives the dog the opportunity to think about and absorb and bring that information into his brain and put it in a place where he can keep it. If he goes straight from training back to playing with the cat and the kids, he's not going to be all that interested in thinking about what he just learned. At this level of training, it becomes really important that you train as often as you can using birds. In earlier training, birds thrown on marks were important because they got the dog excited about the work in the field, but more importantly, they got the dog used to working around birds. So being at a hunt test where they were throwing and shooting birds wasn't as big a deal. As we start to put more pressure on a dog in the intermediate levels of training, it becomes critical that you use birds as much as you can. Most of the dogs out there are far more enthusiastic about retrieving birds than they are about retrieving bumpers. If this is the case, we need to bring those birds out and really drive that enthusiasm up because we're pushing a lot of it down during the early drill work. All of the force and pressure that we're using has a tendency to decay the dog's attitude a little bit. Throwing a lot of birds on your marks has the opposite effect. The dog becomes enthusiastic and excited about retrieving. That's what we want out of our retrievers. Furthermore, dogs that are typically wound up and excited anyway are going to go over the top when they're at a hunt test and they're exposed to birds where they would normally be picking up bumpers. So it's important for the wound up dog as well so that he doesn't get overly excited or overly stimulated at a test just because they're throwing birds.